Gentlemen, how are we?
Pretty good.
I haven't seen you guys in a while. Wow.
I know it's been so long.
Crazy.
It's the joke is we were all together last night to watch the draft lottery.
And the night before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're on a
what was
3-day recording streak.
Wait a minute. Wait. Oh yeah, because that was Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wait, or was it?
No, Monday. We didn't record
Monday?
Sunday.
Because Sunday was
Oh yeah,
Mother's
because
Day.
yeah. Oh wow, yeah. So lots of 2-on-1 podcast content coming out to the listeners. They love to see it. All right, lads, the playoffs are in full swing. Tonight, the Penguins could close out for one. That's one of the big sort of looking tonight. Everything else, when you look at Dallas and Calgary, that's up 2-2. And why is the other series slipping my mind? Why can I not remember who else is playing? Washington, Florida, 2-2, I believe. That's going to be fun to talk about. But today, we're going to talk about all the series that happened the last couple of days, the Leafs included, and what a thrilling game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But we first off, in a less screamy, a more calm, everyone's mic plugged in. A lot of that is thrown towards me. The draft lottery was yesterday. You can watch the full half an hour show that we posted yesterday. There's our live reactions to it. But I thought we'd have just to open the show, much more calm, cool reaction. The big headlines really, New Jersey move up to 2 and Montreal win the draft lottery. First off, did you guys see the video of Gary Bettman reacting to it?
No, but I'm sure he was thrilled.
He sounded so happy by the fact. You couldn't have paid him to sound any more miserable. It was hilarious.
Are we sure that's just not his regular tone? Because he just generally sounds miserable. I didn't see the video, right? So
it was just like, Montreal, wow. Neat. Wow. It was basically how it went. People were like, he's trying to sound surprised. It's rigged. It's like, no. Let's stop that, please.
He was so excited, when Edmonton got how many in a row and then got McDavid, he was thrilled. It's definitely rigged.
That's what bothers me when people, especially yesterday, were going on, it's rigged because it's in Montreal. I'm like, guys, Austin Matthews is not playing Arizona right now. I was having some very heated discussions with people trying to explain to them that if Montreal had fallen in the lottery, it was not rigged. It's just, like the Coyotes fell. Do you think Gary Bettman was going to let that happen if he had a say in it? Seattle too.
Yeah. They both fell.
Mm-hmm. But hey, great stuff. You know what is a shame is Shane Wright was playing last night. I wish we could have seen his reaction to it. Because that would have been interesting. But he had I think he had a pair of points last night, so not bad. But it was a hype time. It really helps Montreal's rebuild when you look at it, because now the young core will have Romanov, it has Caulfield, and then that 1-2 and that down the middle for the future is a guy, Nick Suzuki, we know his two-way game, and another guy who toutably has a great two-way game in Shane Wright. It definitely helps accelerate the rebuild in a way, no?
Yeah, 100%. I think getting any first overall pick, if you can develop it properly, obviously, it accelerates any rebuild. Right? New Jersey's a tough one because I don't know what to say about New Jersey. They can't pick a direction, but I think for the most part, when you look at other first overall picks, look at the Leafs, look at Edmonton, especially when you get someone like McDavid and Matthews, how quickly that accelerated things for them. Now, you look at McDavid, he was out half that season, but, I don't think the Oilers are anywhere near where they are without McDavid, and I don't think the Leafs make the playoffs that first year. And I think I think without Matthews, this team looks completely different.
You take 50 goals away from anyone, it's a little odd. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that Shane Wright's a center, and when you always want to think about how to retool, what's a very essential part of adding to that, it's always going to be center depth. And we've mentioned before that they have Nick Suzuki as well. So the way that they're going to be able to build that and then just add in the wingers like Cole Caulfield, other players, maybe a Joshua Law along the way, I think Montreal's in a great situation right now. But yeah, I think getting the best center in this draft is going to be crucial for them.
Precisely. And going back to New Jersey again, this is a team that has won it three lottery selections in the past couple of years. So I want to say if this new rule set had been implemented by the time they had drafted Heischer, I think they would have been ineligible this year. So New Jersey got some real good luck this for like the past couple of years. Just get a goaltender, everything's good. Because they can freaking score, man. They've got some good players, but it's just they've needed even when they went out and got Subban, and they had brought in like they did that big summer.
Subban, Gusev,
and everyone was like, and everyone was like, "Hey there, where's the goaltender?" And it's like, don't worry. And then the season started, and we were like, "Oh dear."
Remember the Corey Crawford cop out? Like we're like, "Oh, they got Corey Crawford."
Man, I said it at the time. Respect Crawford's decision. He really boned them doing that. He really did. Don't blame him because he had like vertigo issues for like a year.
But I remember I called that like one of the best signings of the offseason, especially when I thought Mackenzie Blackwood was going to play a ton of games.
Mm-hmm. And then what's his future too? Guys, pretty sure he switched agencies this year too. Yeah. So what's going on there? I don't think they loved probably the start of the year and the vaccine stuff. And it was can't wait to see how that goes. But
I have a crazy take about New Jersey though.
What's that?
I think Dougie Hamilton's gonna have a bounce back year next year. I'm just convinced of it. Like everyone's sorry, I almost swore. Everyone's crapping on him. I like listen. He was injured, and we've seen it before where guys have an injury mid-season and it just ruins the rest of their year. I really think he's going to have a bounce back year next year.
There's too much talent there with that player. It's just, again, look at like guys like they were like Dubois had that injury when he was quarantining last year, and it just derailed the rest of the season once he got dealt to Winnipeg. So that's interesting. Some other just non-playoff news before we go to the Leafs and Tampa series and everything after that. A retirement. I think we were all kind of waiting for all year, but the NHL's leader in games played, San Jose.
Disrespect.
Okay,
disrespect.
We'll throw this out, by the way. Yeah, Leafs legend, Panthers. No, not Panthers. That's Thornton. Leafs legend, Hurricanes legend. Never forget that. Penguins legend, but no, truly, probably the best San Jose Shark to ever play the game. Patrick Marleau is officially retired. Really, really beautiful piece written about him. Also, his speech to the Sharks fans of his family, they were really, really good. I thanked hockey at the end of it. Thinking of Patrick Marleau, when I say Patrick Marleau, guys, we'll start with Alex and to Dan here. What comes to mind? What do you remember about his career?
Despite the controversy that surrounded it at the time, the games played. Like I think, you look at Gordie Howe and you like, man, like the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest player of all time, his idol was Gordie Howe. Wayne Gretzky's idol was Gordie Howe. And for him to pass a record and games played record, I think that's a big thing. I think, especially for the players, but when you're talking about a guy who's now retiring and finishing first, I think that's very, very impressive.
Mm-hmm. I guess for me, it's two things. I think the first thing is his playing, is the consistency there. He was a major part of my childhood, major part of me growing up. And, like once you get older and we realize how many games he actually played consecutively, it's kind of crazy. For me, the biggest memories are that elite Sharks team that we really felt that, they're just on the cusp. They're always competing every year. And one thing he did mention too in his Player Tribune article is the Olympics team. So when the Sharks were stacked, he was one of four Sharks actually that made onto the Team Canada. And then 2014, he was still a bit of the older guy, but he was still brought in to be that big guy that could still skate a lot. And, he really kept up with the young guys. I really like that, even though they were short stays, because he's forever a Shark, but for all the short stays he had, he was very appreciative of what Toronto gave. He was proud of playing for arguably one of the biggest markets. He even talked about how growing up on the farm in Saskatchewan, Mario Lemieux was his favorite player. And then the fact that he got to play for Pittsburgh was even great too. So very appreciative guy, someone that apparently was a huge locker room presence for everybody that played with him. And it's kind of weird. Like I know 23 seasons, but it's like an NHL without Patrick Marleau is weird.
It is. We always talk about that old Sharks team and that locker room and that sort of great leadership nucleus they sort of had, and Patrick Marleau was right there. So he finishes his career, obviously 1,779 regular season games played. Look at the playoffs. It's 195. But beside that, 1,197 points, 127 separately in the playoffs, 566 goals. I don't think we need to have the same discussion like we did with Getzlab about being a Hall of Famer. I think it's pretty safe to say that Patrick Marleau is one. I don't think he's first ballot because he didn't win any championships in the NHL. Gold medals and that different. And it's really weird that he doesn't have any individual hardware. It's just very weird to actually look back on it. But just a tremendous player. It's weird to think that he's gone, and it's a damn shame that he didn't get a cup. I don't know if the Panthers can't figure it out, then maybe this is the end of Thornton, and to see both those guys drafted right next to each other, being gone without rings. It's like the same with Lundqvist and Luongo. It just doesn't feel right. But hell of a career, and hopefully he stays involved in the game somehow. But I mean, like, what a story. And the Sharks, I remember at the time, like beside Pavelski, we also talked about like when Marleau left. I want to say maybe it was the same summer as Pavelski. It was a lot of it that they both left at the same time, and maybe by the time he came back, it just maybe he wasn't the force to really help the Sharks get back on track. That and all the money locked up in their defense, but I'd imagine he has his number retired too, like as soon as possible. Do they have any other numbers retired? And maybe Doug Wilson?
Nolan? No, I don't know. Let me check.
Please do. I'd be interested to see if he's going to be, or maybe what if him and Thornton are both gone by this summer and they do them together? That'd be a really nice touch because their careers have been joined at the hip.
That would be. Pavelski left a year after.
Year after. Okay, never mind.
A year after or 2 years after, because I think the way it went, 2 years or 3 years.
It was a chain effect, like it was Marleau and then Thornton and Pavelski all within a certain amount of time. Like it was very years. Yeah.
I'd like to confirm the Sharks do not have any numbers retired.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Patrick Marleau is probably going to be the first one. Right. And then maybe Jumbo Joe, depending on what's going on with him, isn't far behind. But interesting. But hell of a career. And get that number in the icon right up there. Really funny note, Daniel, I'm going to guess that you put this up there. The Californian icons retiring. So the Sharks have Marleau, the Ducks have Getzlab, and then LA have Dustin Brown. Yeah. Brown's like a step below, but that's actually a really good, but also depressing note.
3 former captains of 3 expansion teams that they saw arguably their best runs in the 2000s and the 2010s. That all of them, I mean, the Sharks, they made to the finals, but the Kings and the Ducks were able to win it. So it's kind of crazy to think backwards. Like we talk about how Gretzky grew the game in California, and then we look back now to these 3 former captains that were part of these amazing teams that we were able to see that, like the growth that we saw in California.
That's a very good point, Daniel. That's a very, very good point. And you got to think that all those 3 guys, probably because of how hard those California teams used to be. Remember, they used to joke it was the Death Valley road trip. Just like how much they probably hated playing against each other. But probably because hockey players are weird, the respect they would probably have for each other now. But man, just the old man's gone. The old man's gone. And still has color in his hair, though. Maybe he dies, and who knows. Okay. Now we get to, actually, before we do this, I wanted to get Daniel's thoughts on something here. So French media was all over something today. Apparently, Joel Bouchard has been fired from the San Diego Gulls. What do you think of that? Because that was kind of shocking because he just got there.
Yeah, kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe he misses Quebec. I don't know. I don't know how to look at it. I don't know. Like, that's pretty surprising to me because he looked like one of the candidates that I thought the Ducks were going to have a look at. Like, give the guy a chance to do something, because it's still that report. Like, I think Dallas Eakins' option has been picked up, which really surprised me, because when I said I thought Pat Verbeek was going to be a bit more of a cutthroat type of guy.
Did you just call him Fat Pat Verbeek?
That was my accident.
It's not Patrick Maroon, Daniel.
It's not Patrick.
Sorry. Pat Verbeek. I thought he was going to be more of a cutthroat type of guy, that he wanted to bring his own guys or just wanted to give a new perspective on the team. So it's a bit of a surprising thing for me. Mm-hmm. So it's weird to me, because he looked like one of those star AHL coaches that we're finally going to get a chance with the team that signed him.
Yeah, well, yeah. And once that team option got picked up, it was the team option for Dallas Eakins. I was thinking, interesting. And I remember, like, a big part of it when they brought him in was to really set like a big culture in the AHL. It is interesting that he was let go in Montreal due to differences about how the AHL team is going to be working. And then he gets fired like less than a year later. Remember Dale Weiss? Remember Patrick came on and told us, and then he sent me the interview and I listened to it, that Dale Weiss didn't actually have some great things to say about him, and maybe he was a bit of a bully. Very strange there. I wonder if something comes out about him soon, because the guys are talking about like he was a big star, but we'll see. Okay, playoffs. Tomorrow is going to be a big day because the Leafs can fulfill the bracket prophecy that I have for them and knock out the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6. Yesterday was, for my monies at least, the most entertaining game of the playoffs so far. And that was the Leafs coming back from a 2-0 deficit in Game 5. Probably one of the most resilient games they've ever played, and get the series advantage at home. And the big thing, Alex, was all the big guns were firing.
Yeah, that's surprising, right? That's it's. I tweeted last night. Towards the end of the first period, I go, I'm noticing Jason Spezza a little too much. Mm-hmm. Spring has arrived. And I was sorely wrong. Like, and I'm happy I'm wrong. Like, listen, I'm a Leafs fan. Like, I don't want them to lose. I didn't pick Tampa because I'm trying to be an ass. It's because I didn't know what to expect from the Leafs. And I think they've proven me right on a couple of occasions here. But I'm happy. Obviously the biggest talking point, I think, from the Leafs perspective from this series has obviously been John Tavares, who last night had a goal and an assist. And when he scored the goal, it literally looked like 1,000 pounds was coming off of his shoulders. Like, I think, he hasn't looked great this series, and we've talked about that before, but that goal, I think, having just a massive weight off your shoulders.
Mm-hmm. The also, like, the Marner Matthews 2-on-1 was, what goalies a lot in this playoffs have talked about, like, when you see Draisaitl and McDavid coming on the 2-on-1, you're just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just get ready to let this go in. That was, like, I think the easiest goal that Austin Matthews may have ever scored. Like, if there were
100%.
two worst players that Tampa wanted to fold in and let go in like that, it was them. Pro tip: stop Matthews and Marner.
Don't let them do that.
Very bad.
Don't let them do that. But I want to say, other than that first period, because I think we should acknowledge what happened in the first period. It wasn't a perfect game by any means, but I think that was a really big bounce back game for William Nylander. I think he did not look good.
Don't tell Sid 6-0.
Yeah, once again I say, does anybody watch the game? But whatever. Besides the point, I think that was a huge bounce back game for William Nylander, who looked just was everywhere, was very much just everywhere, looked like William Nylander. So I'm all over the place, but I do want to mention Matthews real quick.
Yeah.
Other than the obvious, he scored the game-winning goal, but in the second and third period, if there was a way I would describe what I want Austin Matthews to do every single night, it's that. That man was everywhere. I've never seen him throw hits like that. And I want to be clear, like, I'm not saying he was an absolute menace on the ice physically, But I don't think on a night to night basis he's like that, and I'd like to see that a little bit more.
So I missed the first period, but what I was seeing on Twitter were people saying Matthews shoot, and then I saw the second and third, and I said, oh. And then I looked afterwards, and I think he either had 13 shots or 13 shot attempts, and I was like, okay, so he clearly started shooting again in the second and third, which is weird because he scored the pair in the first goal, but then he wasn't as much. You didn't notice him as much, or at least I didn't, in games 2 through 4 as you did last night. I thought because like this is a guy who is the back-to-back. He's the next Ovechkin, and it's like, listen, I don't give a damn about Marner or Neal. You shoot that puck if you have it, my friend, because you never know. So I thought it was good for him.
I think offensively, I don't think he was as noticeable in games 2 to 4. I think everywhere else on the ice, I still noticed him in a positive way, but definitely offensively, where for the most part, that's where he's best at. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He wasn't as noticeable. But last night, second and third period. So you didn't watch the first period.
No, I missed it.
Good Lord, that was a nightmare. I hated that. I almost stopped watching the game.
So I saw at the start of the second, the Leafs, sorry, Daniel, that the Leafs had like 4 shots, and I saw there was like 7 penalties. I'm like, what is going on? And I saw a tweet that said Steven Stamkos at the end of the first went to immediately talk to the referees, would expect John Tavares to do the same thing. What happened?
Well, there were penalties left, right, and center. And that was, I think that was the worst Leafs performance I've ever seen in my life. That was brutal. It just looked like they didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, guy, like, it's like, I want to like just shake them and be like, guys, like, this is unacceptable. It's cool that you won. And I want to acknowledge that they won the game and they came back and closed out that game. But I want to shake you and say, God, come on, guys. Like, it's game 5 of the playoffs. You can't start a game like this. Like, and it's not like game 4 where they didn't start on time, or not game 4. What was the other game? Game 2 where, they didn't start on time, but like, it was worse than that. Like, it was, come on.
Go ahead, Daniel. Sorry, I cut you off earlier.
Oh, no problem. For me, I think it's just one of the single greatest ways I've seen of a team bounce back and make a lot of on the fly in-game decisions that really changed everything. That was a bad first period. I believe the Leafs only had 5 shots on goal throughout that entire period, and then it still kind of looked like things were going to be the same, I guess, the first few minutes of the second. But once things started get going, that was probably one of the best periods I've ever seen. That second period was amazing. Everybody was dialed in. I think the one word I could use for that performance is they were relentless. Every line was good clicking. Word. Everyone, I think the biggest thing is every line wanted it. And this is not to diss anything from William Nylander, but I think that he really did tighten up. I think he knew that there was the criticism there. He was great. Justin Hall as well. He wasn't that noticeable, and I think that's great. He did his job. Yeah, we loved it. But Jack Campbell really did save them a lot, especially early on. A lot of credit.
He makes me nervous, man. Yeah, he makes me nervous. He makes me very nervous. He needs to calm down a bit. I was talking to Will about it, but I'll get to that in a second. Sorry if you need to. Yeah,
it reminded me of a bit of like a Jonathan Quick kind of performance where you really do challenge. You challenge each puck.
That's a good one.
You want to be in front. You're out of the crease a lot, and it did work. They did mention, and I know we're going to talk about after, but that Jason Spezza speech that apparently during intermissions really changed course for Toronto. And man, that was for me, that's the most exciting, stressful game I've had this year, but I loved it. When they did lose the lead again, the Leafs, and it became 3-3, I admit there was a bit of a drop for me in enthusiasm, but once they got it going, and Austin Matthews' goal was beautiful, and they got me back right into the game.
I didn't feel the same way. When I was talking to Will, I said, well, we both sort of agreed. The way they were just playing was what did I think we said when we were talking about the Matthews and Marner 2-on-1, for example. Will had joked Marner misses the puck if this was the Montreal series. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There is a change of the team when they realize what it really takes to win. And now, listen, Mitch Marner knows how to pass a puck. But there was a change in the Leafs where if this was years past, I would have agreed with that. And I would have thought at the time, I think Tampa are going to storm back here. But there is just something different. And you saw it in the second and third, where even I had the thing of, do you know what? I think they're going to do this. They couldn't lose that game. You can't go to game 6 in Tampa with Vasilevsky and his history of closing out games that Alex has talked about a ton and the goals he just doesn't allow. And it was a must-win game and maybe one of the best must-win performances the Leafs have had. And the chance of now going to Tampa and closing it out, a lot of people were writing this in 7. I don't know about that. I just don't think there's been enough from Tampa. You know what's been a big problem for Tampa, by the way? Mikhail Sergachev has not been good.
No.
Has taken a lot of stupid penalties.
That's what
he has not been great.
Disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to go back, unless you want to move on to Sergachev. I'm interested to know, because obviously we were talking about this last night for a couple minutes in our group chat where Mike and I were saying, this is probably going 7 games and you said no. And obviously you were just explaining it there. Can you explain why you think this is different? Like what is it that this game in particular was different than game 1 where they beat Tampa 5-0, or game 3 where they actually closed out a game, or if you want to go to years past too, like why do you think this game is different? Not that I don't think the way they played was different. That's the best Leafs hockey I've seen in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think this game's different than the other one?
So rewind quickly. Okay. I had a belief last year where Game 6 was Montreal's to win because it was in their home arena. When I was panicking, I was like, make it to 6, so if you're going to lose, you do it at home. But then once they got to 7, the Habs themselves thought they were going to win that game. Apparently, the thought was once Muzzin was gone, so I think it was Tyler Toffoli said we knew we were going to win the series, right?
Fair.
And they had their suits packed for Winnipeg, not to go to Montreal.
Michael Jordan moved right there.
Exactly.
Really? Yeah.
So what I saw was Toronto could, after that first period, could have folded over and could have lost it. When instead what they did was the complete opposite, where in years past, like we saw in that game 7, or sort of to an extent in game 5 versus Columbus, they could have just flatlined. Now, it's funny you mentioned the Spezza speech, because I think it was Perry, Stahl, and maybe Weber had done the same thing in Montreal after game 5, and then look what happened. And obviously, we saw in the documentary guys like Morgan Riley gave that speech right before game 7, or I think it was during game 7. But it was in that moment after that first period where I could tell, and as someone who watched the Leafs against the team I love so much, I saw a completely different Leafs team and a completely different effort that I don't think I've ever seen. And to do that to the Cup champs, I think is sensational. And I just don't think they have not. I don't know if Tampa have looked threatening, much less there have been times where it's just sometimes the Leafs have flatlined, as I said. It's more that I don't know if I've seen a part in this series where I have thought Tampa have been cutthroat in a way. Maybe you could have said at the start of game 4, but the simple part to your question, I just see that this is the big thing in the playoffs, guys. Who wants it more? And in this series, the Leafs have wanted it more.
I agree with that. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think Tampa is just, they look very tame right now, if that makes sense. They're not playing very poorly or anything, but there's not that we saw of how they were winning the cups. I think right now, we've mentioned before, John Cooper even said that maybe they look a little bit tired. Maybe when we talk about the cup hangover, is it finally getting to them? We don't know.
Watch them win in 7 now because we've done this.
So can we agree that is there like we've mentioned that there's the up and down, but is there momentum now for at least one team going into the next game?
Toronto.
The Leafs. I don't disagree that there's momentum going into the next game for the Leafs, but like it just maybe I'm just way too pessimistic, and that's probably what it is here. But I think over the course of this series, over the course of past series as well, where we go into games saying, well, look at what the Leafs did last game. And it's like, but I think it's Jeff Merrick who says it's a 1-game series, right? I think that's his thing. And I 100% agree. The momentum is with Toronto right now. The other thing here is Andrei Vasilevsky, 16-0 now after a loss in the playoffs.
Yes.
That means like he's incredible.
Okay, so let me just quickly think of something. So Toronto had the lead in game 1. They scored first, I want to say, or did they?
Game 1, they won 5-0.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. I want to say Tampa blowout the Leafs sort of made it a game. It was either game 4. Game 3, the Toronto were still looking like juggernauts. Game 5 was the first game where there was a team that came all the way back. Toronto scored some goals, like that game where Nylander didn't want a forecheck.
Yeah.
He still got 2 goals and he got them within a few, but they didn't come all the way back. This is the only game where a team has stormed all the way back. And they 100%. Haven't just sort of folded in the first period. I think that's a big difference, and that is what should carry over into next game. Not to mention now, all the pressure, to me at least, is on Tampa Bay.
But agreed. But if you look at the teams in the past that Toronto has played, Columbus, Montreal, the last 2, I think those are the 2 where you look at and say they walked in as favorites and lost. Going into game 6, all the pressure was on, or in Columbus's case, I guess game 5, all the pressure was on Toronto, all of it. Right. And they failed. But if there's a team who can take the pressure, it's Tampa Bay, who are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Like that's what I'm not trying to disregard the Maple Leafs. I love them.
I get it. Yeah.
It's just and I feel like we're not doing not that we're not respecting the Lightning enough, but we have to remember is the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. That's why I think this is going to game 7. Then it's a toss-up.
I love how the one who is the most confident in the Maple Leafs is the Habs fan. I love that.
I don't know.
I'm just holding my breath. Like I think it's the Kobe Bryant things. When he won the Western Conference, he said, "Job's not done yet." I just feel that. I think like let me hold my breath for now, because until it's written in the history books, I'm still just gonna say it's still an open series.
We'll see, and we will see next game.
Yes, listen. If Toronto wins this round, I will pick them in the next. I will pick them in the next.
But if I think I'm waiting for Will to get back to me, but I've proposed a friendly wager where I think the Leafs, if they get past Tampa, can make it to the finals. Because I don't think Washington can beat them. I've lost some faith in the Floridas and for the Panthers. Sorry, Alex Baumgartner. The Hurricanes confuse me. And right now, I don't know what's happening with Tristan Jarry. So he hasn't confirmed the wager yet.
Are we counting out the Bruins?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah. I'm fed up with the Bruins.
I feel weird.
Okay, so imagine this. They play Tampa in the first round. They play Washington in the second round, and then they play Boston in the third round.
All the demons they've ever had.
Talk about killing your demons.
All the demons. That's hilarious.
Wow, that'd be insane. But I mean,
do you know what helps? You know what's really, really good about the Bruins series too, is technically they exercise a part of the Columbus demons because Nick Foligno, former Blue Jackets captain on the Boston Bruins.
That's true. Okay.
Exactly. So that's the dream scenario.
That's the dream scenario.
Yeah.
What's probably going to happen is Florida, and then my Lord, if they make it past there, Pittsburgh or Carolina.
Those are the challenges. But the good thing is if the Leafs need to make it to the finals, one of them take the other out. And listen, it's playoff Freddie Anderson we haven't seen with the Canes because he's been injured. The talent I think is overwhelming. And like Carolina, there's just something with them. And then like maybe Pittsburgh and like because Sidney Crosby's been unbelievable.
Yeah. But okay, I want to talk about them past the first round. I want to talk about
fair.
I
want
to get my hopes up. I feel like we did this. I did this before. I don't want to do it again.
Will, if you're listening, text me back. Cheeky Boston. Okay, let's talk about another Canadian team that's very much is not in a great way right now. The Edmonton Oilers. Okay, I'm really upset. I fell asleep during this game, but I really wanted to watch it. I was just so exhausted. Okay, so first off. What in the world was Darnell Nurse thinking when he was headbutting Philip Deneau? That was
crazy. I don't know.
What in the world?
Right when the goal started, and then it's so explicit. It's just, I don't know what he's
doing. I've never seen a more black and white version of a headbutt in my entire life. As a result, I'll just set it up. As a result, Darnell Nurse has been suspended for a game. So going to LA for Game 6, where the Kings can close the series out, the Oilers are without one of their best defensemen, or the best defenseman. I can't give Brett Kulak that much credit. Come on.
No,
but yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be that man to lose. And if you go back and watch that game, what would to me, Daniel? I think you watched a bit of it as well. I saw parts here and there, and I rewatched part of it this afternoon. I thought defense was their biggest issue. Yes, Mike Smith let in some soft goals, but it doesn't help when the team in front of you isn't great. And look at me, I'm defending Mike Smith. This might be a milestone for the podcast. But yeah, I think to lose now Darnell Nurse in Game 6, in LA, who my guess probably has the momentum if we're talking about that, right? That's tough. That's your best defenseman gone.
Logs all the minutes, plays in a ton of scenarios. What's interesting about this, I want to say McDavid and Draisaitl were involved in every single goal last night with the Oilers. Mm-hmm. By the way, Phil Deneau scored again. My man, love to see it. Yeah. I just want to point something out quickly here. These are the top 3 scorers for the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs. You can probably guess who 1 and 2 are. McDavid number 1, Draisaitl 2, Evander Kane 3, Nugent Hopkins 4, Bouchard 5, then Hyman 6. You know, they're not getting a lot of overall offense from their blue line because Bouchard doesn't have a goal. Barry doesn't have a goal. He has 2 points. CC obviously doesn't have a goal. Brett Kulak, tier, doesn't have a goal. Duncan Keith doesn't have a goal. Chris Russell doesn't have a goal. You don't expect him to. I know offense wasn't the problem, but when you have a leaky ship on your back end defensively, and they're not helping out much offensively, going into a game without the defenseman who can do the most of both worlds, it's a recipe for disaster. I have the Oilers in 7 anyway, but I am legitimately concerned because here's the thing. Jonathan Quick at home, hasn't been amazing this series. When they've needed him, he's been good. And it's just, you never doubt the Stanley Cup pedigree of a cup-winning goalie. You never want to do it. But the crowd are going to be chanting for Dustin Brown because, again, it could be his last home game ever. The pressure isn't on the Kings there because they're still playing with house money. That's the thing.
Yeah. They were at the playoffs at the beginning of the season, but no one really expected them to make it.
I had them second in the division.
I know you did. I was
right,
but it's still ahead of schedule. It's still ahead of schedule.
They were third.
They were third.
Yeah. But I had it.
They kept it in there for a bit. Like it did go to OT. It's just a funny thing. Did you guys see the video of the 2 people who? When Adrian Kempe scored, on Mike Smith to win it. You just see the two fans running to the exit.
Awesome.
Two Oilers fans, yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian Kempe, by the way, that's a player we have not talked about this season at all. All-star, incredible speed, big goal, tremendous from the Kings. And by the way, two defensemen I want to quickly mention. First off, Drew Dowdy, because the Kings are winning this series without him, and the defenseman we were all waiting for to get a proper chance, Troy Stetcher, who really funny. Assist on one of those goals was Alex Edler. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Am I watching a Canucks game right now?
So
What's
that's
this?
funny. That's funny. That's not the defenseman I thought you were going to bring up, but that's fine. I thought you were going to bring up Sean Dursey. Alan Walsh-Klein, Sean Dursey.
Leafs legend, Sean Dursey.
See, I don't even think of him as that anymore because he's an Alan Walsh-Klein.
You mentioned the Muzzin trade, by the way. Really worked out for both teams.
Yeah, it very much has.
Grunstrom has been a quiet, really good presence player for the Kings in this
100%.
playoffs. He's the type of guy that you love to have in the play. Doesn't score a lot, but he has had like a and he's had some goal. I think he had a game winner in this series, but you remember that old Mark Bergevin cliche of there are guys who can get you to the playoffs and guys who help you get you through the playoffs.
Yeah.
Grunstrom's just been like a really noticeable, tremendous player for the Kings.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it also helps, it's funny that he's their leading scorer and still doing his job. Phil Deneau, right? You were talking about him before, Adam.
Ignore the game where the Oilers scored 8 goals that didn't count.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
Hope he's all right, by the way.
So,
after the headbutt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw Darnell Nurse.
It's really concerning. Like, I think I had Oilers in 6. I'm like, without Drew Dowdy, the Kings will probably still take a couple games. What really, I really want to emphasize this. Losing Darnell Nurse, I think, is going to be it's going to be brutal,
disastrous. Yeah.
Who's going to play Chris Russell?
So
that's who's going to replace him.
So who's their best defenseman without Darnell? Either all around, it's either Kulak or Bouchard, which
I'd say Bouchard maybe
it's fair. Like CC is like, but you know what I'm saying now is. It's not great that Brett Kulak all of a sudden is your second best defenseman.
Yeah, like with all due respect, that's like, I mean, he shouldn't be their first or second best defenseman.
Look at the Habs. He was like that, and they finished last.
Right,
like a good player, like smart acquisition when we look at what's sort of happened. But I don't want to talk about what happens if they lose, because they haven't lost yet, and it'd be silly to say that they've already lost when Connor McDavid is there. But man, they have to win. They need to win very, very much so. Anything else on this series before we go?
I still think it's going to go to 7, but I still have the Kings winning it.
Fair enough. Wait, you still have the Kings winning it?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Anything from you, Alex, or?
I mean, I guess just to add to counter Daniel's point a little bit, I would say if it goes to 7, I think the Oilers win it.
Has McDavid ever been in a game 7 before? Did they beat the Sharks in 7?
McDavid went to game 7 2017 against the Ducks.
That went to 7?
Yeah.
Was that the game that Corey Perry fell on Kent?
Yeah, he
fell!
tripped.
Exclamation point!
He
on, no, he fell, man. Let's get that straight. You love him, but like he fell onto Cam Talbot and somehow got away with the goal.
Series.
Oh goodness! So he's 0-1 in the game 7, maybe. Unless did they win in 6 over San Jose? I wonder. I want to double check that.
Yes, because he played 13 games.
Okay, perfect.
And no other year has gone. So the last 2 years have been 4 games.
So is McDavid a choker? Is what we're saying here. Anyway, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. This is a sad series that I want to talk about next. My Minnesota Wild are down 3-2 going against the St. Louis Blues. Jordan Binnington's at a .930, I think, since coming into the crease. They've started scoring again. While in Minnesota, it's been Kaprizov. It's just been Kaprizov. I am scared for the Minnesota Wild because it could ruin my western part of my bracket.
Kaprizov has 7 of their 15 goals.
That's insane.
Oh,
If I can do the math correctly, but yeah, 15. He has
no.
7 of them.
Yes. So what he had the Hatcher game, the 2 last. Oh, that's brutal, man. They need to. Ryan Hartman, where are you, buddy? How dare you? Had like 30 or something. No, he didn't have like 30.
They also have like Kevin Fiala's gotten really quiet. Matt Zuccarello.
I don't like that, man. I don't like that. I'm worried.
That first line has right. It's Kaprizov. Eriksson Ek plays with Kaprizov too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
That they have 66% of their goals. That
It's
one
kinda like-
line.
It's like the Dallas Stars almost. They have a really good defensive system. They have one great scoring line, and maybe you question the rest of it. Fiala's not great. Fiala's kind of like Nylander, where it's like this stretch he's almost like a deity of scoring, and then he disappears for 10 games, and you're like, "Ooh, Kevin, why?" Oh goodness. What's also kind of worrying is Marc-Andre Fleury hasn't been fantastic the last few games, has he?
Made me sad.
I'll let you two guys have this one.
I'm just saying, try Cam Talbot, man. I'm just saying, do or die. When's it been Fleury and he's won it as the guy? He hasn't.
2009.
Was he the guy?
He was the guy. Yes, he was the guy. He was the guy.
It was the guy. 2009. So that was more than
13
I'd also
years
like to
ago.
say
13 years
too,
ago?
I know this is going to be a stretch for you guys.
13 years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be a
Yeah.
stretch, but 2016 when they won it,
Yeah.
Fleury was on like a Vezina worthy year because he was playing every game. He
But
got
Daniel,
them.
he had a Vezina worthy year last year and won it.
I know, but see
And,
this
and
way.
then what happened?
I'm talking about the playoffs. So what happened was
Yeah. And then he didn't
Played
finish
every
the
game.
job.
because that
Matt
was the
Murray
year-
did it.
That was the year everyone thought that Pittsburgh was not going to make the playoffs, and then Fleury just found a new gear in him and played every game, got them to the playoffs, and then he got injured because he played too many games.
Did they not also bring in their who is now franchise leading winningest coach that same year?
Mike Sullivan?
Yeah. Because
Yes,
He's
Remember,
franchise leading. He's a
apparently he's the winningest
okay.
coach in
Okay.
I know, right?
Interesting.
Right.
Like,
shocking.
geez, Louise.
I
that
was
caught me
thinking to
off guard.
myself when I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, who was coaching Yager and Malkin and Yager and Lemieux? I'm like, who was that guy and how is he not? I was shocked to see it. I was
I have
shocked.
a fun fact, by the way. It wasn't Matt Murray who relieved Fleury first in the playoffs against the Rangers in round 1.
Who was it?
It was Jeff Zatkoff.
Oh,
Mr. Game, wasn't he like Mr. Game 6 or Mr. Game 6 or something? They
Yeah.
made like it was a big chant about him. Yeah, there you go. Which
Yeah.
means I think he might have gotten his name on the cup. Yeah, I remember Jeff
So-
Zakov. We signed him in our GM mode. I remember.
we did.
Zach said he's a USA World Junior legend.
See, the thing here is I don't know if the goaltending's been bad, so I don't want to comment on that. I haven't been able to watch this series as much, unfortunately. But
It's been in a really rough time slot.
yeah, it has. But to me, it looks like they need some scoring from someone not named the first line. You know what I mean? Like it's rough. Like if you look at the other teams, like you look back at Tampa last year, and Tampa's an anomaly, but they had scoring. Every line was at least contributing in some way, shape, or form. And to me, when 66% of your goals come from your first line, that's a little concerning.
You know what can kick your team up the butt? Goaltending change. I'm just saying, give Talbot a chance. The man didn't lose a regulation game for like 16 straight to end the year. I'm just saying,
100%.
like, man, Fleury, I don't trust him in the playoffs anymore. I've seen it. Doesn't work. Or hasn't worked since 2009.
13
I would have
years
been.
ago.
I was turning 10 that year, Daniel.
I was
I'm
turning
22.
I was turning 9.
What other years were there?
Daniel, I don't know if you're gonna win this one.
No,
I really feel like this.
I really
is,
kind of feel it's not a nostalgic thing for me that's defending Fleury or a bias.
No, I know.
I
you
really believe it's
truly
pure
believe it.
stats. That,
I know. I truly.
Yeah.
I know you believe it. But the thing is, it's like, I mean, like the thing is, Am's not wrong. He has Vezina worthy seasons, right? Like, and he won it last year. But then it just and let's put it like this: he wasn't the only problem with the Golden Knights last year.
No.
I think they had a couple other issues that were bothering them. And I think the same goes this year. Like, I don't think he's the main problem or he's the only problem. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but again, 66% of your first line of your goals have come from your first line. That is an issue.
Would it help with my argument if I also said he was the guy that got his team to the finals in 2008?
I'm gonna hold on. Okay, I'm gonna back away from the mic here because I said this last time and I didn't realize how badly it went. Wait, wasn't it 2017? Was Washington? No, yeah, it was 2018 with the Golden Knights, right? He got them to the finals.
Yes.
And lost in 5.
And then he got the Penguins to the finals 2008 as well.
And they lost in the finals again.
But it's still incredibly difficult to get there. So I think he could get 100%. You there. Yeah.
No, this is not on him. This really is like, I look at this and say, I don't know really how to blame goaltending. I think I think Adam's point on if you change your goaltender and not change your goaltender for the sake of changing your goaltender, but change your goaltender in the hopes of, it'll give the team a kick in the butt. I say you do it, but not like, it's not like they're going from Marc-Andre Fleury to like, I don't know, give me a backup, give me a prime backup goaltender. Just throw a name.
Antiniemi.
Antiniemi. It's not like they're going from Marc-Andre Fleury to Antiniemi, right? Like they're going from a guy they trust to another guy they trust. Okay. Because what we've seen in the past with goalies is when they go from guys they trust to guys they don't trust, miraculously, and I really don't understand it, things tend to go wrong. I mean, at least with the Leafs, I've seen it happen to other teams as well. So I think you're not changing your goaltender because Marc-Andre Fleury is the problem. You're changing your goaltender because your team needs a kick in the ass. Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Fair enough. All right. What's been big in Carolina's series is they've cut down on the penalties they've taken. Tony DeAngelo not falling to Brad Marchand's games kind of helps. We didn't mention it, by the way. I won't say the exact verbiage, but that chirp that Marchand threw, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And then some big plays from Sebastian Aho, and that overall power play was a big reason they ended up winning Game 5. Seth Jarvis, too, was pretty good in that series. I'm disappointed in the Bruins. Again, is there a bit biased here against the Hurricanes? Maybe, because I don't like them. I don't like them. But I saw somebody say Tony DeAngelo might be the best defenseman on the Hurricanes, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Offensively, 100%.
Just they just said the defense part of it. Great defenseman who can't defend, love it. Roman Yoshi should win the Norris over Makar. No, he shouldn't because he doesn't defend. Anyway, how good is Cale Makar? We'll get to Colorado. Man, Cale Makar is good. But yeah, the Bruins. I don't see him coming back from this. Marchand and Bergeron are trying to do their thing, and DeBrusk's been great, but it's just a little. Some might say they might be missing the secondary scoring of a certain David Krejci and his impact in the second line.
Sure. I mean, I imagine it also helps when you don't have a rookie goaltender in net.
Why? Yeah.
Jeremy's done his best.
No, not
I thought
no. I meant Pieter Kurchkover.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't remember his name exactly. I apologize. I'm gonna find it, but
it's a better shot than
The
I
carousel
tried
of the
to say.
Kings goalies continuing.
That's true. I think what happened last night was the Carolina Hurricanes didn't let the Boston Bruins get in their head. And I think that's what cost them before.
Yes.
And I think we talked about it on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to win on, I guess, is that tonight or is that tomorrow night?
Tomorrow. They are the 7:00 game. Normally the Leafs are 7:30.
That's true. 7:00 game. For them to win, they have to do that. I think on paper, the Carolina Hurricanes are a better team. I think, I mean, we'd all agree with that sentiment.
Yep.
So for them to be the better team on the ice, they cannot let Brad Marchand get in their head. And I think that's what killed them to start.
Yep. I think that's a very good point. Very good point. Go to Pittsburgh and New York. Pittsburgh can close out the series tonight. I wonder if Igor Shesterkin's just tired. Because what we've seen from him in the last two games has not been Igor Shesterkin. I mean, it also helps that Sidney. Here it is. He just walked into my desk. Have some damn respect for Sidney Crosby, everyone. Oh, saying, he's toast. We're going to hand the mantle to McDavid. Maybe Matthews is here, but McDavid 2020. No. It's still Sid's league, damn it. What a specimen. What a great hockey player. Just that's what people are not talking enough about is how Sidney Crosby in these playoffs has been otherworldly. And I love it. I love it so much. It helps when Jake Gensel is around. He's healthy, which they've had some problems with the playoff before and all that. And okay. It's miraculous when the Penguins are actually healthy because they are someone's always hurt in the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look at the goalies right now.
Yeah.
This isn't me rubbing the wound in Mike's skin right now. I just love Sidney Crosby. He's a really good hockey player.
We know.
I love TikTok. How are you?
No, I think Crosby. Yeah, man. I think I was having this conversation last week with Curtis. I'm like, I really feel like, what was it? The players poll that we talked about a few weeks ago, where they said if you have a game 7, I believe it was Connor McDavid who they picked.
Yeah, I think it was if you had to win one game.
Oh man, like I don't know if I agree with that. Right? I mean, the players are the players. You do what you want, but I think Sidney Crosby saw that and took it personally. Is how I'll put it.
It's good. He should. Yeah. He's better than everyone else.
I think it's just right now the way he's been playing, it's a Crosby we expect, but it's just he's playing with this edge that, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no safety net anymore. This is kind of like we've used the word again, like last dance before, but it's also kind of he just kind of knows where the situation is. Like, there's no really going back with things because there's so much uncertainty that he just wants to get through this first round series as quick as possible. And I think everyone has just been buying into that.
Wow.
Louis Domingue, all the players, like, they've been good.
What's that philosophy people always say? When Sidney Crosby's trying his damnness out there, how do you not do the same? Kasperi Kapanen should maybe learn a little bit more about that. But no, but you know what? Like, I just want to talk about the Rangers as well here. Sure. Again, I wonder if just Shesterkin's tired. The guy's played a lot of hockey, and there were some rough games towards the end stretch of the season. Like even when they were about to sort of push Carolina for maybe first in the division. But I wonder, you know, this isn't like the end of the Rangers, right? Like, I'm not trying to say that. Like, this was a year.
Wait a second. Are you suggesting that after this year, the New York Rangers should just blow it up?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that obviously, like, Lafreniere and that are still so young. Despite what I said about some of the other members of their core. Last episode, Daniel, we had that discussion. A lot of really key depth pieces on that team, even some more important ones like Fox and Lindgren aren't Stone Age players. A lot of them are really young. So, like, this is just a start for the Rangers. It was a great year overall. I think at the start of the year, I'm sorry to say this, like they're already out of the series. But I just think you have like a young upcoming team in a way facing, you know what, the Pittsburgh Penguins, which have been almost the example of one of the best run franchises, the longest playoff streak among active teams right now. It says something about it. And, this is a good year for the Rangers overall. I don't know how internally how they're going to feel about that, but even if they lose tonight, I think they should be proud of themselves.
I'd like to add to that young core too. I didn't mention Keandre Miller last
Yeah,
episode.
and he's so good.
Yeah. Cole Caulfield's best friend. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's probably it might be Zegras.
Okay.
Well, now it's Nick Suzuki.
Oh, okay.
You see, I saw a picture. I didn't fact check this, but somebody had this picture of him following Shane Wright on Twitter. I'm like, my heart, where is Shane? Where is he? Okay. From here, we can go to Dallas, Calgary, and the Stars. I shouldn't say the Stars. I mean, the Flames actually started scoring some goals.
Yeah.
Including Gaudreau on a penalty shot, which I think Will was in disbelief by, to be honest with you. It doesn't help that Nick Robertson hasn't really been scoring a ton for the Stars.
Jason.
I'm not going to... Jason Robertson. I said Nick, didn't I? I meant Jason. It's really annoying. I have the notes and I see Robertson and I almost said Nick again.
Mhm.
But it is a shame that Dallas... It's on their own fault that only one line can score in that team, and Calgary are looking decent. I guess they scored. Markstrom's really good.
They doubled their playoff goal total in one
They
game.
did. It's hilarious.
A big thing for me is like Calgary's offense is starting to heat up, and I like that. Like the Flames are trying to heat up, and they finally solved Jake Ottinger. He's been excellent for them, goalie of the future. They brought him along slowly, but they've really put him into the fire right now. He's been able to kind of keep them in the game. I think it would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for him, especially the way the shots were going to be like. So I think maybe Calgary does close this out. We talk about momentum there. I think that a lot of their players are back to their regular selves in a way of how they expected to play, especially Matthew Tkachuk. So I'll see, but I'm thinking Calgary maybe gets this in 6.
We will see. They look to take the advantage tonight. It's 2-2. We'll see what happens. It's really interesting though that the most entertaining Tkachuk in the series hasn't even been Matthew. It's been Brady. For some reason, Ottawa Senators captain Brady Tkachuk seeing his brother play in Flames attire, trying to get his dad's attention at the game. And it's just, what's going on?
Did you see the shirt?
What shirt?
That Brady was wearing?
Yeah, it was a Flame shirt, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it said Rat King, and it was Matthew Tkachuk.
Hey, at least they can admit it, right?
Oh man. Oh yeah, I still can't wait for the negotiations this summer. Listen, Calgary, I have you winning the cup. Don't hurt me. Man, how mad is Bettman going to be if it's like Leafs Calgary in the finals? I almost want it just to spite Gary. Just Montreal, I suck it. I can't wait to boo him at the dress so badly. Gonna boo my lungs out to that man. I guess that's everything with Calgary. Sorry, I haven't talked a lot about you, but I'll say this: Game 4 was easily the most entertaining game in the series. Like there was some fun in it, which normally with those teams you don't really get. They've been snorefest to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Here's the big problem is I've tried to watch their games, but the problem is it's not going to be the problem tonight. Because Colorado already lost, but they've been playing around the same-ish times as Colorado, and I'm like, I could be watching this, or I could be watching the Predators get curb stomped right now.
Right.
And Cale Makar. So I'm going to go watch Cale Makar instead. And I'll let Will let me know the details of what's going on when he's not watching basketball.
One thing I'd like to point out that I saw circulating about the Preds.
What?
Remember when Matthew Shane requested a trade from Colorado because he said he
wants
to play for a playoff team?
Yep. And then the moment he left, they turned it around. Oh man, who knew that year? That horrible year was the best thing that ever happened to Colorado because, if those of you don't remember, they finished last, lose all 3 lotteries to fall to 4th, and they take Cale Makar, who might be the best. You know what? No, I'm going to say it. He's the best defenseman in the world. Adam Fox is toast. Not
Doesn't
even
get
like
Norris
jam on
nomination.
toast.
I'm
I
just
don't
gonna
care.
let that sit. I'm gonna let that
What?
sit. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit.
Wait. What about the Norris nomination?
I'm like Adam Fox didn't even get a nomination this year.
Yeah, he's a scrub. He's
That
Hoper.
was a little surprising. I won't.
Yeah, well,
lie.
so who was it again? Was it Hedman, Yossi, Makar?
yeah, Makar.
Yeah.
Well, here's the argument then. Okay. The Jeff Merrick special of not who you say, who do you take away? Do you take Makar out?
No,
Do you take Yossi out?
no,
Not after that year. Do you take Victor Hedman out? You think about it a little longer, but I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that.
because
I
of
think he was
his
point per
season
game.
or because of his reputation.
He had a good year, man.
No,
He had a good year.
He definitely
When
did. He
Hedman
definitely
goes, when Hedman goes, that team runs. Remember the Blue
did.
Jacket
100%,
series? He was
100%.
hurt, and they were scrubs.
I mean, also Nikita Kucherov got himself suspended.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, I'm sure Hedman had a big role in that. But I don't know.
By the way,
Listen,
has Kucherov been actually playing against the Leafs? Because
Oh.
again,
Listen,
milk carton,
listen, let me-
APB.
let me just put this out there. I will not be making those comments until the end of the series.
All right, I look forward to you guys winning Game 6 so we can make fun of Nikita Kucherov because
He does
I'm
have
waiting for
7
it.
points. He has a goal and 6 assists.
Quietest performance I've ever seen.
Listen, you can trash talk him all you want.
Empty
I'm
points.
not taking.
Empty
I'm
points.
not taking the heat on that one. Not.
He's
today.
a loser. He's fat and happy with his money, with his cups. He's
I'm
stopped.
sure he
I hate
is.
him. I can't stand the man. Number one BS, Mr. Kucherov. Look at me. I'm Kucherov. Tampa Bay, we never get cheers and our fans leave early on banner night. Oh, but shut up.
So I don't want to go back to that game. Just last night, there was a shot. A particular defenseman took this shot, and my heart almost dropped. So Zach Bogosian comes in wide open, takes a slap shot.
yeah.
I almost thought that went in. My heart dropped because I didn't know what to do with myself.
What was the
I just
score
want
at that
to-
time?
It might have been 2-1. I think it was the second period.
Imagine that Zach Bogosian puts the dagger into your heart.
I would have cried.
That would have been the Bogosian jersey would have been burnt to a crisp.
I almost slandered him.
Oh wow, that's not good. That's not good. Kind of like the performance from the Nashville Predators against the Colorado Avalanche. The first series has been decided. It was a sweep. I feel stupid for saying, do you know what? Nashville in 6. Really feel dumb. Oh no, was it 5? I think I said Nashville and who cares? They
I don't
lost.
know.
No one
I
had
had 5.
no one had Nashville winning, and if you did, shame on
No.
you. So first,
Shame on you.
we'll do this, right? When the team gets eliminated, we will have some time to talk about what is next.
Okay.
Ripping off with 32 thoughts we're doing all year with the teams that weren't getting eliminated from the playoffs before the playoffs started. So we're gonna steal that idea. But who cares? Sorry guys. They don't care. They're doing fine. They're doing okay.
Yeah, really, honestly.
So the Preds get their 2 games of playoff revenue that they need. Philip Forsberg had a very long skate because he does not have a contract. It wasn't done at the deadline, and people thought maybe he was going to get moved, but the Preds decided to keep him. Make of that of what you will. And this very well could be the last game that Philip Forsberg plays for the Nashville Predators. It's interesting.
That's definitely interesting. I mean, I don't know what direction this team plans on going just because they can't. I feel like we've had this discussion about 10 times over the last 2 years, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to re-sign him. But at the same time, Philip Forsberg can make bank this summer, particularly an Eastern Conference team in the Metropolitan Division. I will not name names, but I think we all know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, Daniel, go
I'm not gonna
this.
say the name. I don't know.
Philly.
You know the name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, no. If they don't get Goudreau,
Or
Wait,
Kadri.
crazy idea. Both.
or Kadri, no, they're going to get 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nashville also needs to go get a backup goalie.
I said it before during the deadline. I don't know what Nashville's direction was going to be like, what they were going to do. I know that we couldn't foresee the UC Saros injury, but I don't know. Like, you traded Victor Arvidsson for assets. I know Philip Forsberg's on a whole other level, but if you knew you were going to lose him after a series like this, knowing that you were probably going to face Colorado or a Calgary, I would have traded him at the deadline. I know hindsight's 2020, but I would have traded him.
They probably think they can keep him still. Again, listen, we don't know the exact expectations of ownership. It's summer, so the Mike motorcycles are back. I don't know if you could hear that. Hope not.
A little bit.
Well, that's great. Did you hear the dog earlier barking?
It's for a second.
Okay, that's great. But their thing is let's get the playoff revenue, right? They have like $10 million in cap space, I think, projected. So if he's getting signed, you got to think it's in the eights. But then is there a lot of money for them, the supporting cast afterwards? It goes up $1 million. I'm assuming that's in the projected space. They need a backup goalie. I don't know if Askarov's ready or if they believe in Ingram enough to take it over from Big Save Dave, but are they going to be that much better next year? Are they going to take a real step? Like, even if
Probably
Colorado
not.
lose, like if Colorado lose, why can't I remember his name? Nazem Kadri this year. They're still better than Nashville.
Oh, 100%. Because they have the guys about 10 seconds away from being ready. They actually have a bunch they have $25 billion in cap space for next season. And they have to re-sign Forsberg, and then their other contracts. Luke Cunnin is an RFA. Nick Cousins is a UFA. Matt Luff, Yakov Trenin are both RFAs. Jeremy Lazan, who they traded for, RFA. Ben Harper and Matt Benning are also UFAs. Like, I don't know.
How the hell did I think it was $10 million? Okay,
because
so
that's
they can re-sign
right now.
him.
That's right now. That's right now. They have $10 million in cap space.
Oh, okay, I misread
season,
it then.
for next season. It's 25 million. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
They need to decide on if it's Connor Ingram or they're going to go out and get a backup goalie.
Ingram has the potential. Big save. Not many big
Not
saves
it.
from Dave. Not very many. But at the other side of the series, the Nashville. No, Adam, what are you doing? Colorado Avalanche have moved on, led by Cale Makar. He is really good. I love him. I love Nathan McKinnon. I love everything about this team. They didn't even need Darcy Kemper. It was a bit of a back and forth game, but still, it was never in doubt for Colorado. But this round doesn't really matter to them.
No.
It's one of St. Louis or Minnesota, which St. Louis are going to want some revenge if they can get past Minnesota, and I think I've lost my faith for Minnesota having an upset, to be honest.
You got to think that Colorado's just loving what's going on the other side. Just that it's either St. Louis is going to win next game or that game's going to 7, and that game's going to be a nightmare for both teams. And Colorado should be eating that up.
I agree. It's going to be fun. I just realized I did not put any notes for Washington and Florida game 4. I'm embarrassed by that. That is very embarrassing. Colorado. Yeah, Cale Makar is gross. We're going to talk more about Colorado, but man, they are just so good. And Darcy Kemper is probably going to be ready for the next round. That's another thing with them waiting. But I feel so embarrassed that I didn't look up anything about the Penguins. And the Penguins, Adam, Jesus Christ, wrong animal. The Panthers from Florida. Even though I don't think are there Panthers in Florida? I don't think so. There's alligators
zoo,
or crocodiles
in the
maybe.
zoo. Yeah, probably in the zoo, Daniel.
Maybe some seagulls. Oh yeah, the Toronto Red Pandas. Well, that makes sense because of the movie. Actually, never mind.
It does.
The Toronto Rhinos because the zoo.
Yeah,
I want to go to the zoo really badly now.
Like, it will go.
You know what?
Yeah, I will do a 2-1 podcast vlog
From the zoo.
from the zoo.
Why don't we just enjoy the animals?
We can enjoy the animals too.
You just
I'll bring my Steve Dangle book. I'm like, okay, which areas did he talk about?
Steve, I'm upset that there's no zoo guide here. I know he's a chapter about it, but there's no
Where's the zoo guy?
Where's the map, Steve? How dare you? But the Panthers get a much needed win. They get the overtime thriller after having a late tie in the whole thing. They really shuffled up their lines for game 5 too. I think we're all happy to see it. It was kind of funny if they get upset. Sorry, Baumgartner. But I mean, like chaos, right?
Yeah, the chaos. I always gotta love chaos, but they have not looked the same, right? Like, is that just me? Like, because I think we watched part of that game together, and I think we've seen a couple other games. I don't think they've looked the same.
Well, they were definitely the comeback cats. Because they came back.
Sure.
But no, that's sort of, it hasn't felt like it's the Panthers style. Like, what's that thing of the guys who win the series are the ones who stick to their identity the most, and
right.
Hasn't really been the Panthers. Like, I think a big thing in Game 4 was Weegar looked a lot better. And I don't remember if we said on the show if it was or off of it, but Mackenzie Weegar hasn't been great.
Yeah, we said that on Monday.
Like, they moved Ben Sherratt to the top pair, and I was like, good for Big Ben. Also, why is that? What is that? It's just very odd. Very odd.
Spice it up a bit.
I mean, if it's better, if it gets Weegar away for some of the tougher competition, then it's a good thing.
Right.
But like, listen, maybe in Game 5, you really hope that the Panthers are gonna really step it into gear. Because right now, I have a really difficult time seeing them the way they are now against the Leafs. And listen, Campbell's a shaky goaltender. But so is Sergei Bobrovsky in the playoffs. And I just think there's so much more confidence right now up front for the Leafs, for example, where I just don't see it with the Panthers. There's something off.
They're not playing their game. And if you look at, we'll look at the Leafs, like you literally said, right? And if you look at the Leafs, I think last night, those last two periods, they played their game. Mm-hmm. You look at Carolina, when they're beating Boston, they're playing their game. I think that it's a very simple thing, and I think you're pretty much spot on with that assessment. All the other really good teams, and look at Tampa. When Tampa is winning, they're playing their game.
Daniel, any thoughts before we wrap up? Sorry, this is on me. I completely forgot about this series.
I think I like the resilience the Panthers did have. I really thought this was going to go down to 3-1. Got lucky there, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to me, even if the Panthers win this series, what they're going to look like, what they need to assess, what needs to be changed. Nothing too bad, but just like the adjustments in terms of what can you get out of this roster. I think that they're gradually getting there, but that momentum has just been halted a bit of what they had in the regular season right now. And I think we didn't give a lot of credit to the Caps. So I'm surprised that this is still 2-2. This might go to a Game 7 just based on how both teams are playing.
And Ovechkin finally gets his overtime game-winning goal. It has to happen. It has to happen. Okay. I think that's everything to do with the hockey. Next time, I'm pretty sure next time we record that it's all going to be done. The first round should be done by then. And then we can preview the second round. And it should be fun. And we get to just erase everything to do with Nashville from the doc, which is always good because, I hate that it's so cluttered. I wish I could describe to people just how cluttered the doc has been for the playoffs, because it hurts me the way it's been. Just too much stuff going on, but that works. So one series down, 7 to go. After that, 16-8. Yeah, that works.
And then 8-4.
Yeah, and then 4-2. And then after that, it's one who wins. And then the other team that makes it as far but go homes with not. What? Oh, let me try that again. 2 teams and one wins the cup and the other goes home after making it just as far but goes home with nothing. As they say in the NHL games.
We still applaud the goalie that made it to the finals and lost.
Why'd you do that? Why did you just salt in the wound? Why?
I'm sorry.
Why did you do that? He's probably retiring.
That's so funny.
I'm sorry.
No, he's one more year. One more year.
What?
Marc-Andre Fleury, one more year.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Carey Price.
Well, we can talk about both of them. We both love our French
I thought he
goalies.
was talking about Marc-Andre Fleury.
Well, not really French, but we both love our goalies who have happened to be in Montreal, either growing up or playing for the team.
So, by the way, Montreal get 1 or 2 in next year's draft, and then they sign Huberdeau, who leaves Florida because he's disappointed, and the rebuild's done. Whoop.
Does he win MVP?
And then,
Montreal?
yes,
Okay.
Canadian
his
media makes a
secondary
big deal about it. Yeah.
With all his secondary assists.
Stop it! Oh my God, their 5-on-5 model was better when he's not. Shut up! Like here's this really funny because if Huberdeau, he has a better chance of being the Hart winner, honestly, because he'll be in Canada, and that helps.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. Come on.
Being in Canada helps.
It does. It very much does. I 100% believe that.
I don't know.
Listen. It took a lot of people I saw making cases for guys outside of McDavid and Matthews were a lot more American ones. Like, I don't think Canadian media made enough of Shesterkin at the beginning of the year, or Yossi, or even Makar in that. And Crosby obviously had the cold start, but then turned into Sidney Crosby. I think it would help. You're telling me there's not a lot more noise if Huberdeau's doing it in Montreal? I would be
100%,
unbearable.
100%, but I don't think he'd. I still don't think he'd
I would
win
be.
it.
I would be waving the flag.
But I still think he'd win it.
Be. Yeah, but I still think he'd have a stronger case. Because it'd be like, the pressure, and he's doing that, and he's got no help because they're playing.
But he's not putting up this
point.
point. He does not put up this amount of points on a lesser team.
Oh, if he, no, probably not. But I'll tell you, I think he would be up there if he played with like Suzuki and Goff, just dishing the puck to Caulfield. Oh, please. Oh, could you imagine it? Or
July
with Connor
7th.
Bedard, because it's gonna happen.
July 7th.
Is that the draft? Yeah.
No, when's free agency? Is that not July 7th?
I can't remember.
Wait, because the draft the 7th and the 8th.
Okay,
I can't
when's
remember.
free agency?
Can't remember.
Okay, well, whatever day that is, we're gonna get the contract extension.
It will be July. Oh, and then I'm just gonna cry. It's like, okay, cool.
That's the
Baumgartner, I don't care if he has a really nice house. He's coming home. We can dream. Or who's ever a big UFA that year, because they don't have the money to buy anyone this year. Unless they trade Petrie and use the money to bring Chris Letang. Please don't.
You don't want Chris Letang?
I would appreciate him when he does for the young guys, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to give him 5 years. I don't want that.
Right.
Just go get PK. He's cheaper.
Breaking news. Ryan Lindgren is in. Rangers going 7 defensemen.
Wow.
He's definitely playing hurt.
For sure.
Like
the fourth
100%.
line is Kevin Rooney and Ryan Reeves. That's from Larry Brooks. Just in case y'all were curious.
I'm sure that's really helping Gerard.
Breaking news. Again, Sid Sixero 4 hours ago. I do not understand the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Was that 6 hours ago?
4 hours ago.
Oh, 4 hours. Okay. Okay. That's everything. No flashy. Go check out the TikTok of that. If you want to see our reaction to the draft lottery, go watch it. There was a certain reaction where one of us runs off camera and yells a lot, but I won't spoil who it was. Thank you for listening.
Wait, I have more breaking news.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
And a scale of 1 to 10.
Per Alex Baumgartner, I don't see Mason Marchment on the ice for warmups. Looks like he's out tonight.
Leafs legend Mason.
Breaking news.